go help promote Aphrodite Jones's new book about the Michael Jackson trial, and Tom Mesarau is going to be there. Here's Michael with the kid. He's probably just hanging out with his own kids now because they just burned him so bad, the media. This is what the book's all about, how the media just kind of created this, they made the more they made fun of Michael, the more money they made. And Tom Mesarau made the point that the networks actually lost billions of dollars because if Michael was found guilty, they would have had all these TV shows of Prison Watch, Day 7, Day 8, Who Visited, and Suicide Watch, Day 1, Day 2, and the more they could sensationalize it, the more ratings they could get, the more products they could sell, the more money they made. Those dirty rats, they should be like a gray hippie like me with short hair.
Larry got me a Red Bull. Isn't that sweet? Just picked me up at my apartment and got it for me.
They did not want this book because, again, it doesn't fit with the picture that Fox News was presenting about Michael Jackson. Although O'Reilly had me on to talk about this book, and so did Geraldo. So people make their own individual decisions in the media. I think there are people who are willing to step out of the box. Glenn Beck impresses me very much as one of them. You know, I'm impressed by certain individuals very much in terms of who will really come around and cover all points. But the only way we can assure any kind of fairness and understanding what's going on with media coverage is to literally look at 5 different stations and try to look at the BBC or some other foreign station to see what are they reporting outside of the country, because we're what we call naval watchers, you know, in America. We only want to see what's going on here in our own belly button. We're not interested, unless it pertains to us, we're not interested in what's going on in another country. So we really need to look at a little bit of BBC or French television, whatever it might be, to get a sense of, you know, really what is making real news, and also to figure out the slants and the biases. You've got to look, you know, take a minute, look at Nancy Grace, what she's saying, and then go over to, you know, somebody on MSNBC or CBS News and see, you know, cross-check, and then you cross-check that with the chat boards and what's on, you know, on the smoking gun or whatever it is that you can hold accountable. But that's really the only way you're going to know if there's anything fair in media, because everybody right now is so celebrity oriented, and it's become an obsession to the point where when you're seeing covers of magazines with Britney Spears doesn't wear underwear, when you're seeing breaking news for 24 hours or 48 hours of Anna Nicole Smith having been dead and possibly being murdered, 24 hours of breaking news. There was no other news in the world. Anna Nicole Smith, when she was alive, was nothing more than a hussy that everybody made fun of. She never did anything in this life to contribute one thing to the world. At least Michael Jackson, we could say, was not only one of the biggest entertainers in the world, but also one of the best entertainers in the world. But he has also done more charity work that we don't even know about than most people in this planet, okay? So there's somebody who's earned his propers, if we want to talk about a star. But this is a woman who, what did she do? She did nothing besides overdose on drugs, because she was a drug addict who married some old man, and everybody hated her in her lifetime. But suddenly it's breaking news for 24 hours, and you can't even get a minute of what else is going on in the world. Who do I trust? I really, really like Glenn Beck right now. I also like O'Reilly. I think O'Reilly's getting a little soft. I think he's gone a little Hollywood. He's got Dennis Miller on there these days. I find that to be, you know, he's trying to cater to the Hollywood crowd because he knows that's where the ratings are. He also tapes his show, so he can't do the fires in Santa Barbara, for example, because he's not live. So people don't realize that. So since he pre-tapes earlier that day, he has to have his bases covered. So he's gone more Hollywood. I trust Hannity and Combs because there's two sides of that coin, and I like that. I trust Meet the Press. There are a lot of people I would trust. I actually trust The Daily Show and Colbert Report, because as funny as they are, they tend to come up with some of the facts that nobody else wants to deal with. And I find that to be an interesting way to cross-check news.
I don't like O'Reilly or Hannity. I think they're absurd, but nevertheless, there's light at the end of the tunnel with respect to all of this, as far as I'm concerned. First of all, I do think American juries tend to be very independent-minded and take their job very seriously. They don't always get it right because they're human, There have been travesties of justice. There have been families and defendants ruined who should not have been convicted. But nevertheless, we have a long history of independence. In the time of the American Revolution, our soon-to-be president, John Quincy Adams, saw what happened to the Boston Massacre, where all these young British troops were charged with murder. And he said, we're starting this country, we're supposed to have a wonderful legal system, they need a defense. And he agreed to defend these young troopers, and a number of them were acquitted, despite all the intense public fervor wanting them found guilty. We've not always gotten it right, we not always will, but nevertheless, there's something about a courtroom in a criminal case. When people show up for jury duty and they're sworn in, they know what they're being asked to do to a human being and the people around that human being. And I think they take their job very seriously, and they take the judge's instructions very seriously. Now, I don't listen to the media very much when it comes to my work. If I had listened to the media, Michael Jackson, I would have had to conclude Michael Jackson couldn't get a fair trial in Santa Maria, and that's not what I concluded at all. And I had never tried a case in Santa Barbara County before that trial. What I did do was I tried to do a little research on this part of the country. I came up alone, went to bars and restaurants just in my jeans and sat there alone and tried to get a feel for what people were like, what the community was like. People would come up to me and ask, figure out who I was and start chatting. And I really told everyone surrounding Michael Jackson, he's going to get a fair trial in Santa Maria. I like this community. I like the people. I think they're very independent-minded, very conservative in many ways, very law and order in many ways. But I think there's an independent spirit here that I like. I feel good about it. And I was attacked by people around Jackson, lawyers, wanting to get in my place, etc. Why doesn't he want to change the venue and all this? And I just, I also had the right to ask for some citizens from South County to be bussed up as part of the jury pool. The procedures permitted me to do that. And the thought among a lot of people involved in the defense camp was that people are more liberal in South County. You've got UC Santa Barbara, you've got patrons of the arts, things that you didn't have in as plentiful a way as in Santa Maria. And I said, I don't want to do that. I like this community. I mean, I think it's going to be a fair, independent jury poll. So I was a real minority there. If you looked at TV, this was like a lynch mob ready to destroy Michael Jackson. And I didn't like I especially did not like the very cruel, very heartless way he is attacked and portrayed for things that when you dissect them and put them under a microscope just don't add up. For example, he's made fun of for having had some plastic surgery, and then if you ask, if I sell people in Beverly Hills or in Los Angeles, where I live, well, he's had a couple of plastic surgeries. You've got half the population having 20 or more. I mean, in that city, why are you focusing on this? Or his makeup. Michael, who I got to know in the trial, I'd never met him before it, showed me his back one day with brown patches and white patches. He has a serious skin disease, which he's very open about showing people. He has to deal with essentially a disability, so he puts some makeup on his face, and that becomes the subject of just late night amusement. And the way he was attacked and the way he is attacked, given the position I was in, defending his life, was very disturbing, very unsettling. And I think reinforced some of my hostility to this media infotainment tabloid type approach. And I also have to say that, a trial is a somewhat complex process. You have 6 to 8 hours of testimony reduced to sound bites at night on television. They can't be accurate. They can't. And they tend to look at it as a daily event, like a scorecard in athletics. It's a second inning, then it's the third inning. That's not the way a trial works. It's a holistic event. And, things kind of tie together at the end in the jury room in ways they can never properly broadcast. So what I'm saying in answer to your question is, I think American juries really try to do the right thing, no matter what the media is saying. The media is often wrong, and you can't get too carried away with it, because whatever their motives may be, how nefarious they may be, I think American citizens try to do the right thing in that courtroom.